of you that I haven't met in person or that we haven't been seeing face to face, I am IIMC's Assistant Director of Professional Development here. Karen Lee, like I said, is our newest Communications Coordinator. And then I also have Kelly Sisane here on the line. Her screen name is under my name, actually. We're sharing a login. So Kelly's down there, dark hair, dark shirt. She's the other part of the Education Department. So as always, before we get started, just want to remind you guys that if there's any questions ever about anything IIMC related, education related, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. In the Education Department, we really hold that spirit of collaboration, and hopefully that's been eminent in the actual emails that we've been putting out. Hopefully you've been able to see that and feel it in the words we're using. But part of the reason we wanted to host a video call was that a lot of times when you just have words in an email, there's no tone behind it. There's no inflection behind it. They can be interpreted very, very differently. So the point of today's call is just to, one, kind of clarify where we are with this concept, give you an overview of how we got here, and then answer your questions. This is something that we as a department are really excited about, and we feel like we have a chance to reach a ton of people and really make a difference in the membership that we serve, but also the members or non-members that you guys serve on your end too. So we're hoping that by the end of the call, everybody has a better feeling about what's going on, the conversations that have been had, and you guys can make a decision whether you want to buy in and be a part of it or whether you want to pass on the opportunity. Either way, know it is completely okay. There's no judgment, there's no forcing anybody, there's no bad feelings. We want you guys to get on board if you want to get on board. If not, totally okay. So what I thought we would do, if it's okay, is just give you an overview. A lot of us across the globe have been canceling institutes. We had to cancel our conference, as everybody knows. So what we were looking to do is find a way to not only help each other, meaning offer opportunities for people to continue their education and professional development, but also to help those people that need some credits that they were relying on. In the Education Department, we at IIMC talk more with the membership than any other department, even more so than membership itself. And one of the biggest things that we've heard is that I was really relying on my Spring Institute, or I was really relying on the IIMC Annual Conference to wrap up my certification. So we've been brainstorming, saying, how can we help these people continue their education? How can we get them that raise or that promotion or whatever it is that is contingent upon getting that CMC or MMC? We promote education, we push education, but who are we as an organization if we don't actually do anything about it? So our thought process was, well, why don't we see if institute directors want to go ahead and get together and collaborate on an online institute, if you will. We could call it a professional development series or any other name that we feel would be appropriate for something of this nature if it goes forward. And just see if we can't come up with some general topics that would apply across the board. And I know in the emails you guys saw things such as human resources, management, communication, really generic topics, nothing state or country or province specific. That's the biggest thing we want to reiterate here. At our conference, we never offer anything that's specific to any one group of people. I think we may have offered a special off-site session for the Region 11, which is the members outside of the US at one point. I don't think we've done it for about 5 years now, but that was just a special perk for our international delegates. Other than that, everything else that we offer is generic across the board, meaning it's going to apply to everyone, whether you're small town, large town, village, cities, state, country, doesn't matter. So that would be the intention behind this as well, is to come into this offering something that everybody could attend. Our thought in terms of time frame was 8 weeks. Again, all of this is completely flexible. At our conference, we offer 16 hours of education traditionally for the registration fee, which translates into 8 points. So we thought along those same lines, 8 weeks, if we offered 2 hours per week, could get us those 16 hours and those 8 points, kind of replacing our conference offering, but also helping you guys or the institute directors offer 16 hours and 8 points. either lowering the amount that you have to make up for in terms of what you would have missed out at a spring institute or even a summer institute if those don't happen, but also just trying to get together to work as a group to show that even though times are difficult, even though we're all so far spread across the globe, that we all have the capability of collaborating and doing this. We've never done anything like this in the history of IIMC. We've always been, I hate to say it, but very divided. And there is a uniform front at the colloquium, and there is a uniform front in terms of everybody provides education. But in terms of all of us working together to deliver something for everyone, regardless of what borders have to be crossed, we've never done it before. So I am up for a challenge. I know this is huge and probably more than any of us can do on our own, but I am up for a challenge in trying to make this happen and make a really big statement with our membership that we hear you, we see you, even though we don't physically see you, but that we understand you guys are struggling, that you need opportunities, and that you're looking to all of us as your providers to give those to you. So again, all of the stuff that we've talked about in the email is flexible, but I just want to reiterate that the intention behind it is to help. That's first and foremost, it's just to help. There's no intention of creating a long-standing institute and academy program that's going to compete with any offerings that any of you have individually, any of the other programs that are out there. It is just a temporary option to serve a problem or fix a problem that everybody across the globe is having. What happens after this program and once everybody's universities and programs are able to open up, none of us have any idea what the future holds. But this could be a really good way for one, all of us to explore the technology, explore the process of putting materials online, but two, to collaborate and see if we can all pull together as IIMC representatives to serve our members. So again, not competition, not looking to take over anybody's programs, not looking to replace, but looking to either give you guys an opportunity to say, hey, here's what we're doing, let's go with this, instead of you having to totally recreate the wheel, or here's a supplement to what we're already offering. The only other point I'll make before we open it up to questions is that we do have quite a few states that don't have access to an institute at all. So those people have always been on our mind in terms of the membership that we serve and the group that we're not helping at the moment. So we're hoping that by delivering something like this, not only will we be able to educate those that are missing the opportunities because of cancellations, but that we'll really be able to start reaching that group that has zero opportunities to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. What we thought we could do is either, if you're not comfortable speaking on camera and you want to drop your questions in the chat box, there is a chat box. Karen is monitoring it and she can read out those questions for you and I'll be happy to answer them. If you want to unmute, Karen can unmute you one at a time. All that we're going to ask is that you use the raise your hand feature or physically raise your hand. I'm totally okay with that. That way we're not all talking at once and the camera isn't hopping from one to the other. So I know we've all seen the emails, but if there's questions from those emails or things that I asked that you guys would like to discuss, we are an open book and want to hear what you guys have to say about this concept. So does anybody want to go first? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, go ahead, Kim. Yep, unmute yourself.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so I found it really interesting, all of the, email conversation. And I know that, all of us have such different situations as far as the structure of our institute and the affiliation and the financial model. I have to say for ours, I'm in a spot where my job isn't dependent, my program isn't dependent on income from institute. It's nice, I'll say, it's nice to have that, but if push came to shove and, there was no more institute, at the University of Arkansas, I wouldn't be out of a job or, lose my budget or whatever. So that I know that I have a totally different perspective than a lot of folks who are in a totally different situation, and they do depend on that revenue in addition to their mission of education. That being said, I have always tried to encourage the clerks in my state, get points wherever you want to get points. I mean, I don't. I know some people, other institute directors kind of object to that. But I feel like we're just dealing with totally different mindset now than we were 10 or years ago or more. And so they're going to get it anyway. And if I seem resistant to them, like if I'm trying to just only make them come to the opportunities that I provide for them, I feel like I'm not doing them a service, right? I'm here to make sure that if you want education and training and you want to be certified, then I'm here to help facilitate that, whatever that means for you. And so I think it would be great if people had this opportunity. For my part, I mean, I don't see us probably contributing any content to it, but certainly I think you would have Arkansas clerks excited about taking these classes. We normally have 2 workshops in the spring. We had one, and the very next week we all get sent home. And so we had to cancel the second one. And we're supposed to have one in August, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. And then Institute, it's in September. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do that. So I certainly don't want to hold back any opportunities, and I would be actually really appreciative of any folks who did put content out there. So.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Kim. I appreciate it. I definitely understand that there's 2 very different types of institute directors. Those that really rely on the revenue from the program, you're absolutely right. And then those like you that are in a situation where you don't. There's always been, we don't want to compete with the institutes. We don't want to compete. There's always that fear of competition. Why would somebody want to go to my program if IIMC is going to do it and make it more accessible, make it free, all of that. We've seen that in the discussion back and forth. It's definitely a risk that we're all going to take if we do this. But I do want to remind everyone that as of right now, people are crossing borders going from institute to institute. It may not be happening in your particular state. For Texas, for example, with Dr. Holt on the phone, they have a state certification. I know North Carolina also has a state certification where a lot of them stay within their state, so it applies to both the state and the international. But California, people travel across borders all the time. 1, because of the price of their programs, but 2, because the programs are only offered X amount of times a year and the municipality has set upon them a 2-year time frame to get certified. So we do have people crossing borders, taking other institute programs. We do have people that are getting certified based on our guidelines by using college degrees and also other opportunities offered on the state level, just not through the institute. So there's a lot of crisscross, if you will, or overlapping that's happening anyways. So this would really be, in our opinion, no different than that. Obviously very different in terms of the structure and what we're offering, but in terms of an opportunity that's open to everybody, we do see a lot of it already happening. We did get an anonymous question here. Let's see. Has there been any thought to revenue sharing with the states? For example, possibly a 50-50 share back based on the registration. Okay, so for this one, you guys, our intention right now, just our initial thought was to offer these for free, just because of budgets and the expenses that would be required to deliver the program. We would love to offer it for free. If we can keep expenses to a minimum and simply use a software such as Zoom, IIMC will incur any of those platform or software delivery expenses. I know that's going to be the biggest issue that most of the institute directors will have is why would they continue to come to mine if you guys are delivering it for free? That's where the biggest source of competition is. But we have to remember too that the first thing to go when people come back into the office is going to be that training budget. It's always been that way in terms of when budgets are tight, that's the first thing to go. But realistically, even more so now. So many municipalities are relying on sales tax and other forms of revenue coming in that are not coming in right now. So our first thought is to offer it for free. However, we are open to continuing the conversation if we wanted to make it a minimal fee, or if we wanted to make it a pretty decent fee. We are open to continuing that conversation. Zoom, if we totally do it within Zoom and house everything in there, we can handle registration. We actually have polling options in there, which we can do digital assessments using a quiz format or a final exam format, if you will. If we decide to take registrations and charge for them, Zoom doesn't allow us to do that on this platform. So we would have to either run a fee structured registration through IIMC's platform, which we are happy to do. It just takes us collaborating with our finance department and with our membership department to get that all set up in our system. It would only apply to IIMC members though. So if we're looking to open this up to people that aren't IIMC members that still need assistance in your local area, we would need to figure out how do we make it work in terms of not having them in our membership database. The other option we can do is have this not completely 100% run through IIMC, but we can have it run through each of you as institute directors. Our hesitation here is that here we are approaching this idea. I don't want to ask you to do more work than we're already asking you. So I want you to deliver the content. I want you to showcase your institute and really highlight whatever it is that you want to highlight in North Carolina, Arkansas, Texas, wherever you're at. But I don't want to ask you to take on all the logistical details. That's where we come in. And that's where us as the education department, that's what we're pretty doggone good at on our end. So I would love to continue to help you with that. If we do go to that 100% run by the institute model, again, we're asking you to do more work than I want to do right now. So if that does happen though, and you want to charge for it, IIMC is not looking to make money on this at all. We understand we've taken a loss on our conference. It's a huge moneymaker for us in terms of it doesn't make a lot of money, but in order to keep running the organization and doing things the way that we can deliver them, we rely on that conference. So our budget is taking a huge, huge hit this year. But in terms of the outreach that we're willing to give our members, we're not out to make money. We want to help. We want to give this opportunity to those people, regardless of what we bring back. So if there's a 50-50 share, totally okay, but I would rather see that money go back into either creating future programs, go back to scholarship creation, if you will, working with our foundation, something different than just sending the revenue to IIMC. Now, if you guys want revenue in exchange for delivering the program, or it helps keep your program afloat, that's a conversation that we can all have with those that decide to continue to get on board. I'm happy to do that. Let's see, Trey, I know you had a question. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Thanks, Ashley. So I wonder if you have a sense of how many programs are being canceled instead of rescheduled. I expect that I'm going to end up doing everything that I had originally planned to do. It's just I'm going to be doing a lot of work converting, changing formats. So is there a sense that we're losing? Do you have an idea of how much education is being lost out there? Or in other words, are we already filling the holes, or are we losing a lot?
Yeah, good question, Trey. There's quite a few institutes out there that run spring programs. Not all of the institute directors, keep in mind, communicate directly with IIMC. It's unfortunate, but we don't always hear from everybody when something gets canceled or when it's rescheduled. If you take a look through the institute profile pages on our website, we don't always get the upcoming dates for a program. So you'll see on there a lot of the dates for the upcoming spring institutes or fall institutes are to be determined. Or they'll be outdated saying in 2017 it was offered in the fall. We have no idea when the next one is going to be offered. So In terms of what is being offered, I don't have an exact idea, but I know we've heard from 7 institutes that have canceled. 2, I believe, one of them for sure has put it online. Cassie in Wisconsin has taken everything and put it online. Cassie is an anomaly in herself. That woman can coordinate a program from scratch on a dime. Like, she's just phenomenal in terms of program coordination and revamping everything. If you've never worked with Cassie Van Remortel from Wisconsin, you guys are serious. She's a little brash. She knows that, and we have that conversation. But in terms of what she can put out, she's phenomenal. Like, I'm amazed by that woman. So she's gone and put everything completely 100% online. In terms of who else has done that, I haven't heard anybody put their stuff 100% online. I know there's one institute for. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trey.
I'm doing that.
Are you okay?
In a couple weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're doing our May Institute program. It's going to be totally online.
May. Okay. Good. Yeah, I mean, there are a handful of them, but the main ones that we've heard that are just canceling, I know Nebraska canceled for sure. There's quite a few of the association level programs. So not just institutes. When we're talking about filling the holes, we got to remember we have a triangular partnership. There's IIMC who canceled, there's the institutes, and then there's also the state association levels that have, you know, the leagues, the clerks associations, the a bunch of other groups, including Athenian dialogues, regional workshops, all of that stuff that trickles down. The regional workshops, the state level, is where I've seen a full halt to all Athenian dialogues. One, because our policy right now doesn't allow for it. It's in the works, but we aren't allowed to take Athenian dialogues online at this point in time. So the people rely on those big time to pick up those extra credits and supplement the little 3 points here and there that they need. So all Athenian dialogues have come to a halt. All state association level programs that we're aware of have come to a halt and been canceled. In terms of rescheduling, nobody has given us firm committed dates, with the exception of, I can think of 3 off the top of my head for association level programs. Those are going to be rescheduled for September, October. But again, we don't know if those are actually going to be able to happen based on social distancing guidelines or anything else that is put forward at this time. New Jersey is the only one, Laura's group is the only one that I know offered, I think it was 2 hours of online webinar type of content at an association level program. So Jersey, I'm not quite sure. Laura, maybe you can pop in here in a minute and let us know what it is that you guys are doing, if anything, for Institute Online. So in terms of summing back or coming back to your question, Trey, there's a lot of holes out there that are still sitting not filled. So I don't have exact numbers for you, but I know majority of the institutes and associations that had programs have not rescheduled them, and there isn't an intention to schedule them. Does that help? Okay. Laura, do you mind popping in and telling us if you had any experience with that group?
Are you talking about the association doing things?
Yeah, I know the association offered, I know I worked with Diane Flugfelder, our Region 2 director, to offer, I think it was, I want to say it was 2 hours. It's been about 2-3 weeks now. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know they put together an online program. Did you experience it at all?
No, I haven't participated in that. Hold on.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's why I'm hiding.
Okay.
I'm also homeschooling, yes.
Yeah.
The institute that I run, we are doing some transition to online, not the full scale like some other institutes are doing, but I don't have any experience with what the state association did, but as far as the institute goes, we are doing some transitioning to online.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Amy had her hand up. What's going on, Amy? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll just briefly add to it. For those of you that have been around a while, you know, in Texas, the association and the institute, we do everything together. There is no division between our association and our institute. And so we, and actually it comes to mind, I probably haven't given you an update on at least one of our dates. We've rescheduled it. Anything that we've considered canceling, we've rescheduled tentatively for online at this point. And so we had one in April that we've rescheduled for July. We've got plans to take it online if we need to. A June seminar is prepared to go online if we need to. And one thing that I would add just to the conversation in general, it is, oh, I know what I was going to say. a lot of our content is state specific. And so, except for our October Institute, what we call our Institute, try to term it like you guys do. Other than that, our information is fairly state specific. Public funds investment is all Texas law. Our big election law seminar every year is all Texas election law. We're about to do OMA and PIA and records management. It's all Texas specific. And so I hate that I don't feel like I have anything to contribute unless I create something, which at this point I just don't feel prepared to do. One thing I wondered, and probably y'all have thought about this, but I know there are several Texas clerks that had planned to present at the conference anyway. Would that be something that would still be useful? If the clerks that already had a presentation ready to go, would that be something that could be done to offer that up?
Yeah, we are definitely open to bringing in outside parties, if you will, outside of the Institute directors. Out of respect for you guys as educators and the program coordinators, we wanted to give you first stab at it. I know not all of our Institute directors are actual facilitators. They are more, coordinators or planners. I know some of our group would not be comfortable speaking on a screen like this, leading a session. So wanted to give you guys a chance. Just as an FYI, we are taking our entire 2020 program and we're carrying it over to 2021. So we're not starting over from scratch. We're not dumping everything. We had what we felt was a really good program with some really good value-added sessions, and I don't want those to go to waste. So in order to keep some of those, we'll need to tweak them as things change. The presentations themselves will change, but the program format and the speakers, general sessions, all of that stuff is carrying forward into 2021. We haven't released that yet to the public. So if you want to share that, that's fine. If not, totally okay too. But yeah, don't feel like you don't have anything to offer just because what you put out there is so state specific. Not everybody has to get on board. We are thinking, like I said, 8 spots. We can do combos and tag team if there's more people that are interested. If there's an ID that wants to work with a clerk, or there's 2 IDs that want to work together to create something and piggyback on one another, totally okay. This is brand new with nothing set in stone. So what we want it to be is what we can actually make it if we all agree to work together. In terms of state-specific stuff, yeah, don't feel bad if that's what you offer and that's where you're comfortable. It's completely okay. There are others out there that offer things that are more generic, but if we wanted to carry people forward and utilize the other resources that we have outside of you guys individually, then we're happy to start opening it up. But we wanted to give you guys the first stab at it to help us get on board here. Let me take a peek. Morgan, I know, wanted to share what she's doing in Kansas. So go ahead, Morgan, unmute yourself and let's hear from you.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me share a little bit. Yeah. We are very similar to Texas in that I operate the Institute Academy and the association content. So thankfully in March, we ended our conference on Friday and everybody went to working from home that next week. So we barely snuck in our state education, which was a good thing for our group. But I appreciate the idea of offering something to your membership. I've encouraged my my association, and they are behind me, in that they are offering their state association members free training. They've contracted with me to provide some free training for their membership over the next several weeks. It's something that I can do for them, and it also serves the purpose of helping continue the education and push it forward. I think it's great to provide free education to the membership. I don't know how and where Kansas may contribute, because just based on my funding source, we are eating what we kill over here, and things are looking different, right? It's a different time, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to move our associations forward and our trainings forward.
Got it. Understood. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Morgan. I'm happy to hear you guys were able to squeak it in, though. I know we had a handful of people that were able to get it in, and then we had a handful of people that were right up until that day having to make a decision when everybody started to separate. I'm glad we're going to try to, offer those free trainings. I think that's a great opportunity, especially for Kansas. You guys are so spread out and so rural anyways, that I know training opportunities are tough when they're in person, let alone when we're separate. So I know let's see, Pam Harvey, Alabama. Pam, you want to unmute and let's see what you guys are doing?
Hey, I was able to have our spring training in last week of February. So everyone in this, I had a real large turnout, probably 150 people. That's pretty large for us. Before we went on state lockdown, we do offer some webinars. We've offered them for probably over a year now. It's just people didn't really participate, but I have seen a surge in participation for my online classes. I think I have about 10 or 12 CMC and I only have maybe 4 MMC. We offer 2 trainings a year. One's in the spring, one's in the fall. So my fall's not until October. So hopefully I'll be able to have that one. And then we have a conference every year in December. This past December, we had like 500 people show up, but it was for our elections training. And, you know, our department at the University of Alabama, we're supposed to be self-sufficient. So every bit of the income that I get from registration fees or exhibitors or whatever, I have to, you know, pay everything they have as well as supplement some of my salary and our staff salary. So economic wise, I would be interested in offering additional programs and I would be willing to help because we have lots of resources here, but we charge $50 for the webinar. And it's really, you know, a low enough fee to where people can afford it, but I can also justify the time and effort that we put into making it. And so that's pretty much where we stand. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Pam. I know that's the biggest concern that we see in the chat and the questions and then the back and forth is going to be those fees. So let me see. I think that was all. Kim, I'll come right back to you, okay? In terms of the logistical part of it, you guys, if this is something that we want to move forward and that we want to have a registration fee, we would simply take the 8 institute directors or the 8 groups, whoever it turns out to be, that come on board and say, okay, how do we want to do this? Do we want everybody to register for the 8-week program as a whole? How does that work? Or do we want to allow people to register for each individual week separately? If we go about it as a whole, do we want to create 1 certificate? Do we want to create 1 transcript? Or do we want to create 8 separate certificates and transcripts offered by the 8 separate universities? Do we want to collect registration fees as a whole or as each individual week? So the direction that we take is going to determine the fee structure. It'll determine the amount of work and who's going to be doing it. If we stay within that free option, IIMC can take it all on. We can either put together certificates that are automatically go out when they complete the online assessment, if we do an online assessment. If we want to put the assessment selection and leave that up to the institute directors themselves, do we want to do quizzes? Do we want to do final exams? Do we want to do papers, 2,000-word essays, KTAPs, ITAs? I know, I see you guys. I know there's so many options out there. Each institute director is offering a different type of assessment. How much work do you guys want to do on your end to review the assessments? Because that wouldn't be something that IIMC would do. If we automated, it takes the work off of everybody's plate, but we have to make sure that it's still a good quality assessment that not only captures or makes sure that it captures the understanding of the knowledge delivered, but that it's worthwhile to wrap up that program using that type of assessment. So there's a lot that goes into it. The fee conversation is based upon what all of that will be. If we decide to charge a fee, that's great. But who collects the fee, how much it costs is going to depend on what direction we decide to go. So Kim, go ahead.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So 2 things actually. One just comment is, I think if it's going to happen, it needs to happen quickly.
Agreed.
Like, right? Because whatever. And I feel like the more we get bogged down in conversations about all the things you just talked about and don't just go like, what's the most straightforward way to do it? I don't know. I feel like you're going to lose time and whatever. I just feel like it would drag out too long. So,
Agreed.
Yeah, I have my own opinions about how it should go if it's going to go. But that's that. The question that I actually had is just to clarify, because somehow I didn't pick this up in the initial email conversations. Your idea first was that the actual institute directors would be presenting the courses, or is that right?
My first option was that the institute directors present the courses themselves, or if you're not a facilitator, you could work with somebody within your institute, maybe a speaker you've hired before, that could deliver that on your institute's behalf. My only concern was that if we bring somebody in that doesn't want to do it for free, now we start to get into increasing those expenses for whoever decides to cover those.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know for my part, a lot of the people I use do it for free anyway.
Yeah.
And also even the ones who don't, the trainers that I use, I think they would do it for free. I mean, I think at least some of them would if I said like, here's the whole deal.
Yeah.
And the ones that I have are long time, they come back year after year and know what it's about and feel, a connection to it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I would have some luck with that. But yeah, I just wanted to looking at my notes. Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My dream world here, guys, just being completely transparent and honest. Dream world, the way that I see it working in my head, and my initial thought when we started talking about this as a department was that we would use Zoom, whether there's a fee or not, doesn't really matter at this point. Structurally, though, we would start the program to launch with week 1, the week of the annual conference. And the only reason I'm saying that date is because I already have things in the pipeline up until then. So we have some webinars we're offering on the 6th and then the 13th. And I know Florida, Amy and Jeff here have shared some things with us that are going to be moving forward into that pipeline as well. So initially, I thought, let's run it from the week of the annual conference, kick it off there through, I think it's the second week in July, first or second week in July. That'll give us a full 8 weeks. I would love to see it offered individually as opposed to a whole 8-week program, simply because if people can't commit to 8 weeks once a week, you can pick and choose not only the topics that would work for you, but also the days and the times that would work for you. I would love to see it offered consistently on the same day and the same time every week, just so it's reliable for those that want to continue to take all 8 weeks. I think it would be great if we either held off on certificates until the very end and we put together one big collaborative transcript, if you will, and I'm happy to coordinate that similar to what we do with our annual conference transcripts. At the end of those 8 weeks, we can take the registration lists, the assessment lists and all of that and compare it to the whole 8 weeks and create them one big transcript with all 8 university logos plus IIMC's logo. So we can make it a collaborative transcript certificate. That way it's not specific to any one institute or IIMC in general. That takes the work off of your plate and puts it on us, which I do not mind at all. We spend traditionally the entire month of June putting together conference transcripts from our conference. It literally takes 3.5 weeks. It's terrible, but it is what it is. So the time has already been slotted for something like that. I see 2 hours, 1 point each week being offered at the MMC level. And again, that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be applicable to CMCs. It just means it would be applicable to everybody. MMC level content is downward compatible. So anybody and everybody that attended would have the option to get credit. So in terms of all the other finite, minute details, we can work all of those out. We can sit and talk about the fee structure if we want to split that with institutes, or if we just want to take any revenue generated and donate it to the foundation and create a new endowment or extra scholarships to attend the institutes when they open back up in person. We can create online learning scholarships with them. There's a lot of different options that we can do with fees. if we don't need to put them into the actual institutes. But if that's the direction we choose to go, it's a great option too. So if there's any, I know we're getting close to that hour mark, we're at 45 minutes. So out of respect for everybody's time, what other questions do you guys have? Or is there anybody that wants to jump on board and say I'm in or I'm out, this just isn't for me? Or anything else that you guys have heard off on the sides in terms of other institute directors passing on information that, you know, questions that you've heard out there? Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, I haven't heard. Oh,
this
go.
is Cassie in Kentucky.
Hi.
I mean, I'll just kind of let you know where we are since I haven't talked yet. But we have a decision date set for June 1 to decide what we're doing with our institute and academy, which is institutes in July and academies in August for us. And we don't know whether we'll postpone that, which would probably be November, or if we're going to do a virtual conference. So when I'm reaching out to speakers right now, we're proceeding like it's going to be live, but also with the option of going virtual. And almost every speaker I've talked to is fine with doing virtual. So that's kind of our plan right now, but we run it. I actually work for the Kentucky League of Cities, so we administer the clerks. And so our clerks get education everywhere. I think a lot like what Kim said. They go to other states. They go to some of our KLC functions, like they get credits other places. So I see this as another offering for them that some of them are more active members would jump on this. I mean, some of them are getting their master's points by taking some of these webinars through IMC now. So I think this would just be another option for them, especially if we have to reduce some of the credits that we have to do, since, you know, 40 hours for Institute is a lot of online programming that would probably for us take several months to get through, and which I know these classes would probably be more master's level, but if we have to reduce that, then this would be another option. So I see this as just another option for them to get the training that they need or to get their points. So
Perfect, Cassie. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, the other neat thing about this, you guys, is that, yeah, it is another option for them, but it's also an option for people to attend a program or sessions from multiple universities, multiple institutes. We get that kind of at the annual conference at our program when we collaborate with different institute directors, people from different states. But in terms of what IIMC actually offers and shares with the membership, like I said in the beginning, we haven't had this collaboration. So this is a chance for us to kind of make history, if you will, but give people an opportunity to say, hey, I went to Virginia and took this institute online. And then I went to Alabama and I took this institute online. And then I was in Florida and I took this great session. And then we were in North Carolina. And then we wrapped it up by going to Arkansas, you know, whatever it turns out to be. It's just an opportunity for people to say, hey, I really like that institute. I may go back to that institute in person someday. Or they talked about this great thing. I may call that speaker and talk about whatever questions they may have on that topic later. So it's just a way for us to grow that web of connections. I know we're so in person is how we network, but this is also another opportunity for us to network in a completely different way and say, okay, my network here in California just got bigger because I took this program offered by Kentucky or whatever. And it's just, it's a different, unique way. And I think we need to think about different, unique ways to collaborate and educate as we move forward, because none of us have any idea what this is going to look like a month from now, 3 months from now. Any of that. So thank you all for sharing. I do have a question in the chat. When do we envision a decision being made about Athenian dialogues being held online? So just an update for you guys. The Athenian dialogue policy is policy. So any changes that we make, we need to run through the proper committees, the proper channels, and then it has to be approved by the board. So right now, what we're looking at is, I think it's the week of May 4th, next week, we have a conversation with our Education and Professional Development Committee to look at the current policy and discuss whether they want to make a recommendation to the board to be able to offer dialogues online. We are looking at offering these in 3 2-hour chunks or 2 3-hour chunks, just because 6 hours in an online dialogue would be a whole heck of a lot of time to sit there. So we're going to have that conversation with them. Their recommendation will go to the board, and we're going to offer a virtual board meeting at the end of May. We don't have an exact date set right now, but by the end of May, we'll have an answer on whether things can be offered during the June, July, summer months until we can go back into person, whether those can be offered online. During that conversation too, we also are having them review a new proposal that we received from New York. New York will have a new CMC and MMC Institute program up and running, which is great news for the New York clerks. They've been without opportunities for quite a while, but they are also 100% on board to offer their first program, which was supposed to take place in July, 100% online. So this will be really unique to see a brand new institute, no background, no affiliation, no history with IIMC, take it 100% online the very first time that they've ever opened. So that'll be kind of a historical event, interesting to watch too, to see how they go. Let me see, is this a topic at tomorrow's colloquium? Kim, are you referring to dialogues? Is that what we're talking about?
No, I was thinking about this whole topic. Like,
oh, this whole topic.
This thing, or are we
yeah.
avoiding that?
No, it wasn't going to be a topic at the tomorrow's. Tomorrow, as an FYI, just transparency for everybody, the Education Advisory Group, which is our handful of institute directors that we collaborate on a volunteer basis to help us plan the colloquium, plan topics, things like that. They are meeting tomorrow to go ahead and discuss what we want to do for the colloquium for 2020. Obviously, we're not in person, so we don't see why we wouldn't be able to offer a Zoom meeting similar to this one and allow all the institute directors and state association ed chairs to go ahead and collaborate this way. The meeting tomorrow is just to begin the planning stages of let's find a date, let's nail down the agenda, let's really talk about what we want to deliver. In terms of, do we want to talk about how to put your programs online? Do we want to talk about how a future of education is going to look after all of this? So okay. Not so much this one, we can touch on it, but not so much the focus of it.
That's fine. And also it's scheduled for 3 hours. So I thought I just missed something and this was the actual.
No, I don't think so. Karen and I'll look into it. It may just be we blocked out the calendar, but no, we don't need to do 3 hours.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect.
No, this one will just be the planning one.
Yeah, like I said, I thought I just missed something in there.
No, we'll look at it. We'll check it out, and we'll send an email today just to clarify too.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Does anybody else want to share before we get on? I really appreciate you guys all popping in today. Tracy and Jennifer. We'll go Tracy first, and then Jennifer will wrap up with you if there's nothing else.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
So I'm the New England Institute, so 6 New England states. And we did decide earlier in April to cancel our July Institute and Academy. Elections in several of our states moved from April and May to June and July, and even then they're not sure how they're going to happen. So our institute is run by clerks. So we have a board of 12 clerks. So we're also, you know, behind in the office, facing offices that, you know, we've been working from home for 2 months and, you know, what's going to happen next. So at this point, we haven't considered doing any online training or any other training. If it wasn't a presidential election in November, we may have gone with something in November because we have a New England association meeting in November, but it's just all stacking up against us. I have one speaker who's interested in doing some online stuff for us, not for free. So that's what I'm thinking with this, Ashley. Like, he would be perfect to throw into this, but for us to pay him to offer it to everyone is a tough call too.
Yeah, understood. And most professional speakers, that's the problem we run into as conference planners too. Most professional speakers won't do a lot for free, especially if we haven't had a long-term working relationship or there's not, you know, we're selling books and the other pieces that go into it. Sometimes we can finagle, but that's where if we do charge that registration fee, maybe we take those registration fees and we cover whatever expenses, speaker expenses would be required in there. And then we figure out what to do with the rest, whether it's splitting it amongst the institutes, going back into scholarships for institute attendance later. We can come up with a way to make sure everybody's expenses are covered, that we deliver a top-notch program while figuring out what to do with the remaining revenue after. Anything else, Tracy?
No, thank you.
No? Okay, no, thank you for joining us. Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everybody.
Hi.
Like Cassie, we're actually making a decision at the end of May, early June. That's when our university, the Virginia Commonwealth University, is making a determination for the summer. Our institutes and academy are held in October. And although that sounds, really luxurious, really far out, considering a lot of you guys are in the spring, it's just thinking about social distancing, as Ashley mentioned. By the time October comes around, are we allowed to be in groups of more than 10, more than 50? And if we hope to have an institute around 80 to 100, I just don't know if we're actually going to be able to hold it. So I think we're exploring right now our options for some online training. VCU, like many institutions, are 100% online right now. We're all on mandatory telework. And the university is still making decisions for the fall. They're thinking that perhaps they may postpone the beginning of the fall term so that we can actually meet in person. But a lot of things, as you can imagine, are still sort of up in the air. So I'm thinking very seriously with our Virginia Municipal Clerks Association about putting something online. So we're really interested in participating with the group to offer something. I'm a little concerned about offering it 100% free. It's not like we would want to receive funds for this. I think we probably can come together with some really nice panel of municipal clerks from Virginia, or maybe have a session that has clerks from all across the country. It'd be really interesting to have that kind of come together. But to offer it for free, it concerns me a little bit, because then people might not come to our institute. And I know that we want to offer the training. I like the idea of offering it for a low cost and then using it for scholarships. I think people would, that would resonate with folks. That's sort of basically where we're coming from. But yeah, we're not really looking to make money from it, but it would be helpful if it's not 100% free.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, the other thing with free that I think about too is that we're going to have to set a limitation on the number of people that can actually attend. Do we want to have a Zoom call with 500 people on the line? How does that work? How does it stay interactive? So we have a couple of options based on the plan that we decide to go with Zoom, where we can have 100 people, we can have 300, we can make it non-interactive and have 1,000 people on a webinar with a chat. So those of us that decide to go with this, we'll have to sit down and talk about it. But the thing with it being free, what we find with a lot of our webinars too, that we've done with the other speakers and vendors that we've used, is that a lot of people will register when it's free. So you're going to get 1,500 people that register, you're going to get 400 that actually attend. So I don't want to see spots go to people that aren't serious about taking the program, whether it's all the way through the 2 hours, assessment to certificate, or whether it's the entire 8 weeks. So at least if there is a small fee or whatever we decide upon, there's an accountability piece to that too. You paid for it, you better go for it, so you better take it. So there's a little bit more buy-in when there's some fees online too. So it sounds like a completely free option isn't the best way to go, just based on the conversation, and that's completely okay. We can continue to flush out, maybe we set a per week price and we go per week, and then we figure out what to do with assessments and certificates as a collaborative group. So if there's anything else, let's see, I got one more comment. I like the idea of having a low cost so they don't question why we're having to charge for our virtual institutes and academy. Everyone registers for free and then forgets about it. Yep, absolutely. So I definitely don't think that we're alone in that situation. Okay, well, what I would like to ask everybody to do, because we are at that hour point and we want to be respectful, I will go ahead and work with Karen to get the recording downloaded and then send you guys out a link, and we'll start the email conversation one last round. I don't want to do too much email back and forth. Like Kim said, we would like to, for lack of a better term, pull the trigger and at least make something start happening. So if this is something that you guys want to get on board with, we have 4 institute directors already in the queue to be a part of this. So if you want to, we got 4 spots open. If we want to work on joint or collaborative sessions or clerk panels, just start thinking about it. I'll send out the email kind of recapping the conversation today and putting some new thoughts down in a couple of bullet points with that link. And then by the end of, let's say by the end of the week, just let me know if you're interested. Again, there is no offense taken. If this isn't a good fit for you or you don't feel like it's a good idea, please share those thoughts and let us know. It isn't going to affect anything in terms of the way we look at your programming, the way we work with you. If it's not a good option, it's not a good option for you. That's totally okay. But I appreciate those of you that have expressed interest, those of you that have committed. We appreciate you. We respect you taking that step to try something new. I know this is all scary. We've never done an online institute. I've never done an online institute. So this is new for all of us. But collaboratively, if we pool all our resources together, I have a feeling, you guys, this can be a really, really valuable program that we may be able to carry into the future as we look at clerk education moving into the next 5-10 years. So thank you so much for your time. If there's anything else, please raise your hand and let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will send that recap out probably in the next day or so. All right. Anything else, you guys? No? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good week, you guys. Bye.